Alright, what's going on, everybody? So today I'm down here in the dungeon working on the EX30 a little bit here. I got a couple of things I want to get done. First of all, since I've gotten the EX30, it's only charged to 132.7 volts. That's as high as I can get it to go. So today we're going to be charging each pack individually to try and maximize to 134.4 volts. I don't really want to do a range test on it until I get a full 134.4 volts on it. I feel like it's not really fair to it unless I get that. So we're going to be fixing that today. And I know I was watching Marty's video, and he was saying that it has something to do with the charge distribution board here, where all the batteries meet, basically, and go to the charge port. But I heard, he said that, I don't know if you guys know Roger. This guy Roger out in California is going to be getting charge distribution boards that will fix that problem. So I might end up buying one of those. If I do, I'll make a video about it. But for today, we're going to be doing it the same way we kind of fix the master, right? I've got myself one of these variable voltage bench supply units. We're going to just be charging each battery individually till they are each 67.2 volts. And that'll give us the full 134 volts I'm looking for. Okay, and while I'm poking around inside of her, I am going to be doing two more things. I'm going to be putting on a spring coil shock onto the EX30. I really want to try this spring shock. We'll see how it feels. I have another one of the D&M 38RC shocks that I really liked on the EX20 that I can put in if I don't really like this. But I want to start with this spring shock, see how it goes. I want to try it. This is a 190 millimeter, 1,500 pound spring coil oil shock. And the other thing I want to do, because it's the one thing that's really missing on this EX30 from me, is I want to add a USB port to it. So I know a lot of the control boards have extra little PCB slots to put accessories in. I know one of them's for the USB. So I'm going to do a little research. I'm going to poke around a little bit, try and figure out if the EX30 controller has a spot to plug a USB port into, and if it does, that'll make my life very easy. I can just add this USB port, 3D print a little bracket for it somewhere, and just attach it to the wheel, because I really like having a USB port on my wheel. You got that huge battery, I want to use it.
Alright, so step one is taking this seat off, popping off the control board cover, and seeing what connections I have on the batteries. I'm not really sure. I'm probably going to need to solder up a wire to use my variable charger. So to take the seat off, there's a screw on either side of the seat here and two on the bottom. So let's pop it off. Alright, and then to take off this control panel here, there are 4 screws. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Go ahead and pop the screen right off. Looking at it real quickly, it does look like it's going to be kind of a bear to change the shock, but we'll do it anyway. We're going to figure it out. We'll get it done. It doesn't look horrible, but it just looks annoying. Okay, so I made myself a little connector for the charger. Charging at 67.2 volts. It says 67.0 on my display, but with my voltmeter, this was reading 67.2, so that's what we'll be going by. Charging at 1.07 amps. We'll do all 4 batteries like that, and hopefully we get to 134.4 volts.
Here's the one thing, though, right? Like, I don't know if this is going to allow me to continue to charge to 134.4 volts. I think that the charge distribution board is still going to stop me from getting that full charge. But what I'm going to do right now, charge these full so that they're full and balanced. We'll go out and ride, and I'll try and charge it again. Maybe it'll let me get up to 134 volts with my stock charger now. I don't think it will, but we'll see.
Alright, so first one's done. Shows 0 amps going into it, so let's do the other 3. Alright, while charging here, I'm going to start poking around a little bit in here. So you can see there's a bunch of unused PCB slots over here, and I'm pretty sure one of those is going to be putting out 12 volts, and I can hook a USB port to it. That's kind of my plan here. I'm going to attach some wires and just see. Realistically, coming off of the USB port, it's only a 5 volt USB, 2.5 amp max. So you're talking 12 watts. So if any of these put out 12 volts, they should be able to handle 12 watts. All right, we got everything charged up and balanced. Let's check the voltage real quick. 134.4, baby. Okay, so even connected to EUC World, it's still only showing 133.0 volts. But that's all right. We tested it coming out of the controller here, and it is 134.4. So I'm not too worried about it misreporting on the app a little bit.
Okay, after poking around for a little while, it doesn't seem like putting in the USB is going to be as easy as I was hoping it would be. I was hoping I could just utilize one of these empty PCB ports, but it doesn't seem like any of them are putting off 12 volts for me. So we're going to have to use a step-down converter in order to do it like I did in the old EX30, but that'll be a project for another day. Okay, so got the shock installed. It was a pain in the ass. You take off these side panels here, and I had to grind down a little bit on the top here to make it fit, unfortunately, but I got it in there. Alright, so, and of course it rained again as I was inside working on this thing. That's alright. We just gotta take it out and just feel how this shock feels. So far, I'm a big fan. I like it. So because it is a 190 millimeter shock that I put in it, I did technically lose a little bit of travel, but it feels really good still. It feels really good over small bumps. Coming off curbs, it feels as good as it did anyway. It didn't feel great coming off curbs before. It still was like whatever. Actually, you know what? That felt pretty good. It feels great over bumps though. It feels way better than it did with the stock shock going over bumps. Like over potholes and like, yeah, sewer cap feels way better now. Granted, I did lube it all up, clean it up. You know, when these Begode suspension wheels come from the factory, they're all dirty on the inside. There's friction points. There was a little bit of red Loctite on the actual linkage pin. Like, you just gotta clean it all up, lube it up. I used some dry lube to lube it all up. And yeah, this feels way better. Now, obviously installing it was a pain in the ass. I had to literally grind some of the shock to make it fit. So that kind of sucked. It's the point on the end. Like, it couldn't go deep enough in to me to get the peg into it. But if you've got the wherewithal, the ability and the tools to do it, it's definitely a great mod. Good God, I love this EX30. This is God's gift to the unicycle world. One other thing I did do was I cut the pads a little bit. I do actually kind of like these pads. I didn't think I would, but I actually like them. But they dig into your shin or your calf in a weird spot. The top of them is like that 90-degree angle. I'll show you where I cut them. It feels so much better now that I cut them. You see across the top here is where I cut it, where it was a 90-degree edge. That was digging into the side of my calf and just causing it to bruise up and feel uncomfortable. So this feels way better. All right, but unfortunately, the other thing I did with the balance charging up to 134.4 volts, the EUC World app is still showing my wheel as only having charged to 132.8 volts, even though I know it's now at 134.4. So I do think it's something to do with that charge distribution board. For some reason, it just won't go above 132.8 volts. But we'll see. I'll ride it a little bit. I'll charge it with the stock charger again, and we'll test right off of the main power board and see what voltage we get. Maybe it'll charge up to 134 this time. I don't think it's going to, but I could be wrong. And unfortunately, adding the USB port is going to be a little bit trickier than I was hoping it would be. So we'll have to work on that another day. But yeah, all in all, I would say the work we did today, highly successful. Big fan of the new shock. Really happy I did that. Feels really good. And we also figured out that the charging, I don't think it's really an issue, honestly. It's everything's still balancing nicely at 66.8 volts. All 4 packs are the same. And I don't think it's really affecting my range that much, considering like when I was riding the other day, I was on pace for about 70 miles. That's what I get on my EX30. So really not seeing, any loss of range. But yeah, I'll keep you updated. I've done about 150 miles so far, and I'm really starting to unlock just the power of this unicycle. It is just amazing. I am in love so far with this EX30. I think this is the greatest wheel ever made. But seriously, this might be one of the greatest wheels ever made. It's the perfect form factor. It's so nimble. It's so fast, both top speed and acceleration. All right, but that's enough of me rambling on, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. As always, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And until next time, guys, ride safe. The sun's coming out. Might go for a ride.